Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Helen Hall and I'm the host. I'd like to go over a few housekeeping rules before I introduce the presenter. I've muted your phone lines, so please leave them muted so that there won't be any background noises during the presentation or the recording. We do encourage questions, so please feel free to type your questions in the chat pod and the presenter will respond to them at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing on our website within a few days. Our presenter is John Hoche. John has been an engineering manager for over 20 years. He has worked as an adjunct professor with the Gordon Institute of Tufts University for the past 10 years. John's lectures have been at the University of Arizona, Brown University, Massachusetts Amherst, Minnesota, Santa Clara, Stanford University, and the University of California, Berkeley. John is an active senior member of IEEE, receiving a Citation of Honor Award. John has also worked with other world-class organizations such as Northrop Grumman, Honeywell, Alliant Tech, and L'Oreal. Mr. Hoche has helped more than 5,000 engineers enhance and advance their careers. I present to you John Hoche.
Thank you, Helen. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I have control of slides, right, at this point?
Yes.
I can hear you fine, yes.
Okay. I'm on slide number 3. So everybody, that was the one presenter about me. And I'll go to the introduction, the agenda. First I want to say, Helen, thanks for hosting this webinar. It's wonderful of you helping IEEE members and others out with their careers. And thanks for that wonderful introduction there. So I appreciate that. Just for those of you that are online and just joined us, this material has been extracted from a successful 8-hour workshop that I've put on throughout the whole United States for IEEE. And in this 8-hour workshop, we discuss the whole process from beginning to end, from first deciding to look for a job, what you do, all the way through resume writing, cover letters, interviewing, following up, negotiating offers, traveling and move, and then your first days on the first few months on the job. Since we only got an hour, I focused down and just picked a couple topics that Helen and I thought would be relevant, and that's what's on this agenda right here. The first one is the job search process. A lot of people have interest in how do I go about finding these jobs? There's not many out there. And where do I look, and how do I go about it in the most efficient way? And that's what I'm going to address in this seminar today. The next one is resume writing. That's where you tailor your resume directly to the ad, and what I do is call it power packing. In other words, you want to power pack your resume with them so they read it and they say, yes, I want to interview this person. And then interview techniques I teach is when you get the interview, you power pack that, and the result is that you get an offer. The key to all that is what I call quantify, relate, and yourself, and I'll cover that later on in the seminar. And then finally, cover writing.
Okay. John, would you like me to do the poll now?
Sure, if you want. What Helen's going to do is ask a couple questions, and if you could respond, I'd appreciate it, because it kind of gives me a flavor for the audience.
Okay.
About half and half. That's great. Okay.
Okay, we have a poll that I'm going to do in just a second here. Okay, if you respond to the poll that's on the screen, that would be quite helpful. Thank you. And there's also a third and fourth poll. Okay, fantastic. There's one more. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It gives me an idea. I see that a lot of you have zoned in on the networking, which I'll talk about is probably the key in this type of environment. So just to preface background a little bit as I get into this, this material does work if people use it. The seminars I've taught, the feedback has been tremendous. They took people that couldn't find jobs, found jobs, people that were interviewing, never got offers to go interview, got offers, and most of them that gave me feedback got a job within 2 or 3 months after really working at it and applying these techniques. I wanted to share that with you. And in my background, I'm going to talk from a perspective where I've been an engineering manager for over 20 years. During that time, I've probably interviewed maybe 200 people, and I've probably hired 50 to 75 engineers. So I've seen a lot. I'm not going to claim I've seen it all, but I'm trying to share with you what my perspective and other engineering managers work with, what they're looking for in their type of interview with these people. Okay, let's get going. And the first thing that we want to talk about today is it all starts with your self-inventory. What you have to do before you start the job search is look inward to yourself and find out what you consider are your most sellable and most valuable skills to begin your job search, because that's going to be form the foundation for your looking and interviewing. You have to assess your skills and your accomplishments, not accommodations, I'm sorry. So think back over the last 5 years, all the relevant things that you can point to that were significant accomplishments that demonstrate your skills and that you'd be comfortable in talking with. Then once you do your skill assessment, you come up with this one-page summary of what you consider your most valuable skills. That becomes the crib sheet for when you fill in your resume and you want to match your skills to the job position. That's going to help you sort and look through it. Just to give you a rough idea, when Lockheed Martin puts an ad on the web, we get between 300 and 400 resumes per ad on some of the more common ones, and some of the least common ones we average 50 to 75. So there's a lot of sorting that goes on before the managers can even do it. The managers can't afford the time. So what we call on HR is to match the best resume against the job requirements. And they do that through a word search, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But that is now key that you have to do. You have to tailor your resume to the skills, directly to the skills that are listed in the job ad. Years past, when there was 2 to 3 jobs for every engineer, it was easy. You wrote a general resume, I kind of do this, I do this, and they look at it, yeah, you're a good match, okay, we'll take it. This job market right now, the undergraduate that they keep statistics of, just graduating from college, there's 6 graduates for every 1 job. And last time I heard there's on the order of 4 to 5 engineers for every job. So the era of writing general resumes does not work anymore. You have to have a specific resume tailored for that ad, and that comes with you matching your skills to the job ad. Okay, where do I begin my search? Once you get your skills down, that's one component of the start. The next component of the start is, what are my priorities? You have to have a priority list. And your priority list is specifically what type of job title do you want, what salary you're looking for, location, your family needs, what kind of technology do you want to work in, where do you want to work, your facilities, how long is your commute to work. The reason for this is when you get on a search engine, this is Career Builder, and you populate it with your profile, your job skills, they start to ask you questions, and they search by job types, and they search by other categories. And there's more ways to search within the company, regions, and they have many filters. To give you, for instance, if I want to, I can load in a search engine and say state of Minnesota and engineering jobs, and within about 30 minutes I can have every job that has the word engineer in the title listed and access to it. So now what are you going to do? In 30 minutes you can find every job in your state and that's listed on the web. Now what are you got to do? You got to sort and prioritize. The problem is when you get out there to the web and you start searching and you don't have priorities and you don't set these filters, you're going to waste a lot of time. And that's the number one complaint that I hear from people taking my workshop is that, wow, how do I get by this huge mass of search engines and figure out what I want? And I say, well, that's you. So save yourself a lot of time with that. So you start your job search with knowing your profile, what you like to do, what are the jobs that you want to work with, and set your priorities. The next one is, where do I look for the jobs? Given that I know what I want to work at and I got my priorities. Well, there's a couple strategies for finding it. The key one that I'm going to stress at this point is networking. But many people overlook the product flow chain. And what I want to talk about is this and how you use this to identify the types of jobs and where you might best look. At the bottom level of this product chain, we have basic components. It could be electric chips, electric components, it could be knobs, fasteners, basic components. They sell those to a second level supplier, what we refer to as a second level tier supplier, which might be circuit boards, you know, like a seat in a car, or cabinets in some type of electronic device. Then those people sell to the next level up, which is the first level, which might be a major subsystem, maybe an engine, maybe a radio, maybe TV monitors, maybe a PC. Then those people sell to the prime people, the prime system, and at that level we have such things as I represent the prime by cars, aircrafts, maybe PCs, and other things. So the product flow is like this. Well, there's two ways that you can use this chain. One is if you're at an upper level, you can look down level to your suppliers. For instance, if you're at the first level and there's job openings in the second level, you're actually a prime candidate. The reason being is that at the first level here, you understand customers' needs and have a lot of contacts in that base. So someone at the second level down here is definitely interested in hiring you because you have those extra value added. So similarly, so if you're at the top levels, you look downward. That's another way to search. You set up your search engines and look for your companies. Look to your suppliers right now. Now the reverse of that, what we do is search up chain. If you're in the lower levels, you want to search up chain because someone at the first level considers someone that supplies components to them as knowing the components and having a better understanding and how to get the cost down and the performance up. So they have an excellent understanding. So instead of looking upward at your customers, you look downward at your suppliers. So what happens is you should start looking and networking either your suppliers or your customers, depending on that, and do both. You just don't know where the job's going to come. There's always the move adjacent, which means that you can go to your competitors, but you got to be very careful, and that's a whole hour session alone just in competitors. So if you're thinking going to a competitor, just be careful. And the other way is you can do adjacent markets. For instance, if you're at this level, say a second level, and you generate power supplies, you design power supplies. Well, if you're designing them for PCs, you might look at companies that are purchasing or buying or selling power supplies to TVs or radios or something like that. So you look to the adjacent market, in other words, the equivalent market, but a non-competitor. Now, what many people overlook at this point when they consider this is who are the people that move up and down this chain all day long? Well, it's actually the manufacturer and marketing representatives. They move up and down the chain assessing where their next customer is or where their suppliers are coming from that they can cut costs or get a better product. They're out there every day on the road meeting and greeting customers. So right now, one of your best networking contacts might be a marketeer from your customers, or it might be a supplier or marketing representative from the distributors. So they know what companies are hiring. They generally know that contracts are coming in and what companies are going to be hiring. So that is a very positive, very high success rate if you network in that area. Helen, if they have any questions, they're supposed to type them in, right? The next thing that we have...
That's the chat pod.
Okay, the chat pod. The next thing that we have is networking is very, very important. And what you have to do is consider how you leverage this network. Most of the people that I find today are finding their jobs through networking. Face-to-face, they meet people, they attend IEEE meetings, they get introduced, they find out what companies are hiring, and it's all via networking. So how can you make the maximum use out of your networks? And that's what this chart is all about. Basically, there's two methods of networking into a company. It's greatly oversimplified here for you, but it gives you a thought. Some people can't find a job straight out, but what they don't consider is that there is independent consulting. You can work part-time, or you can work for a consulting firm that supplies people to these companies. Both of these, independent consulting and consulting, get your foot in the door. It may only be part-time, but that's a stopgap. Once you're in the company with part-time work, you are now in a very prestigious or good place to be. So what you do is make sure at work you leverage your network there, and you make sure that you talk all the time about getting hired. Is there a chance for, after this consulting, to get hired on? And it turns out that a lot of people get hired through the consulting one. And so what happens is the path to a job is that you look at independent consulting and consulting firms, get a part-time job, and then get hired on. The second method we got here is you do your online search and you find companies that got maybe 20, 30 racks out there in engineers. Or you get a network tip. Say you attend an IEEE meeting and someone says, bingo, I heard this company's hiring. So, or some guy that, or lady that at an IEEE meeting, you talk and you network and you say, is your company hiring? They may not have checked. They say, well, could you check for me? I'd sure be wonderful. And they start checking with you. The next one is you network with, find through IEEE meetings or some other method, a person in the company, and they tell you the inside story. Okay, this is where most of the people are telling me it's working now. They go to an IEEE meeting, they meet someone there, that they develop a relationship, they network, and they find someone in the company. Another way to do it is go to IEEE meetings and ask who works at this company and this company if you know they're hiring. And you don't have to attend your own society meeting. For instance, if you're in the Computer Society meeting and you're a member of the Computer Society, you may have tapped out those resources. But if you go to the Microwaves or the Test Society, they may have jobs. So that's how you network in. Establish a rapport with the person. They bring in your resume. They look at it in advance, give you some tips on the words and what you should stress, and then you become a leading candidate, top of the market. In my job interviewing now, I can tell the people that I've networked and have contacts with people in the company because their jargon and their terminology is the exact terminology we use. So it shows the initiative, the type of person that I want to hire. Okay. The third way you can look to get into, find out where the jobs is utilizing a search firm. Now, a lot of people have come back and told me they're very disappointed in the search firms. And when I ask them why, I can understand why. Best bet is if you decide that search firms are for you, or I hate to use the term, but headhunters, you need to find someone who has recently utilized one, a search firm, and found a job, learn from their experience. There's so many search firms out there that are collecting resumes for their data bank, and to be perfectly honest with you, that's how they impressed our customers. We got 2,000 engineers. They're not interested in the quality. They just want to make sure they get engineers in there of a certain type so they can impress their customers. You want to also make sure that you talk to the agency and the actual agent that you're working with, and make sure they specialize in your engineering expertise. Someone that's very generic and you're a very specialized engineer, and you're with a firm that's placing just generalized engineering resources, you're never going to get hired unless there just happens to be a golden nugget or something come in. So you want to pick search firms that have hired people with have represented it and successfully got jobs for people that have your background. Questions to consider when utilizing a search firm. So yes, I see some questions, search firm is useless. That's the comment I get back. People put a generic resume into a search firm, they listen to the agents, and the agents say, well, write a general thing so we got a description, we can use it all over, and they never get hired. Yes, they can work against you. If your resume, they don't consider you hireable, you can definitely, lose out on opportunities. I was used, one comment was, I was used in order to increase someone else's offer. Absolutely. That's number one thing they want to do. The reason being is the better offer, the better commission that the search firms do. I'm not going to discourage you against search firms. 1991, when I got laid off, I used one, and the economy was down, and they found me a job. But I spent about 4 weeks researching firms and making sure I found one that was my technical area of expertise. You want to ask them, what companies do they have personal contacts with? They'll say, oh, we find jobs for a lot of people. We found 50 jobs for people. And then when you ask them, well, were they engineers? No, 40 of them were, salespeople. Okay. Well, what companies are you working with? You want to ask the client how many are they representing right now? If they have 200 resumes of engineers, your chances are pretty minimal that you're going to get filtered to the top of their list. How many clients have they placed in the last year? That's a great question. If they've placed 2 in the last year and they've got 500 resumes, you can see that they're not doing a good hit job. Are they local or national? How are resumes handled? Online, can you update your resume for each job and submittal? How often do they allow you to update your resume? Different jobs come in, you want to tailor your resume, so updating them. They have any job postings immediately that they're looking at. Sometimes they're just collecting resumes and they have no openings. You want to understand that. Do they provide you support structures? Can they help you with your resume writing? Can they help you in tailoring it? Will they provide you information on who they're submitting your resume to? Some people do, some don't. Some agencies do. They just notify you that they find that they got a client that wants to do a telephone conference with you or a telephone interview, and they don't really tell you. So to answer the question, are search firms good? Yes, no, and maybe. Sometimes they work for people and they work wonderfully, and other times they don't work at all. And so you got to really watch that one. We've got a lot of material covered. Let me move on. Someone say maybe I can pay the agents. Generally, I think if you spend time on the web and searching, you'll become as proficient as the agents. The second thing is I would not pay them up front. I would only make any payment to a search firm based on the salary you got, and the payment is 4 to 6 weeks after. I've heard horror stories where people have got paid, large sums of money to a search firm. They got them a job, and then 3 weeks later they quit. So the money was wasted. So you got to think through that process. Okay, in this chart here, I'm going to talk a little bit about searching online. This is like a 3-step process. And at the first step, if you don't know what to do and you're not familiar with the HR network and job searches, just go into Bing and Google and list words like engineering jobs in New York, or engineering jobs in Florida, engineering jobs in New Jersey. And what will happen is these search engines will call up another search engine. Those search engines, most common, is like Career Builders. And they'll say, click on me and load your profile in, and I'll send you all the jobs that you want. Well, you click on them and start a profile, and then they come up with a filtering criteria. There must be close to 50, 60 to 100 job search engines out there that you can filter and database and get in their database. So it's pretty populated, saturated out there with all these people that want you to load up your resume on their search engine and look at their jobs. So you got to pick one, and then when you get 1 or 2 that you like and you feel comfortable with, set the filter settings. And this is a very powerful technique because in one day you can set up your filters, getting them running, and these engines like Career Builder will send you all the jobs that meet your criteria within a day. And you can also set them up where they send you daily emails. So every morning you open your email up, grab a cup of coffee, and you look at the job listings that came on the market within the last day. That is incredible search power. Now, what I want you to realize is that all the other engineers out there that are unemployed are doing this already. So what's going to make your resume stand out differently from theirs? They're all going to see this. So the next section I'm going to talk about is power packing your resume. But before I do that, what I want to highlight you to is some guidelines about setting up these search engines and that. Number one is that people give me the feedback, and I've experienced it myself, is that they put a search engine out there and they work with 3 or 4 of them, and they this one search engine may list 200 jobs, and another search engine may list 300 jobs, and they go down. And what they find is that the search engines are going out, searching on the employer site, searching other job search engines, and their one job gets listed 5 times. So instead of having 200 jobs, there's only 30 or 40 real jobs out there. So you got to watch that when it comes up. Okay, tips for searching online. When you start searching online, you can get lost in the forest very easy, or wander around the desert. And so what you need to do is have some guidelines as you're going through these search engines. You can burn up 8 hours in a day just setting up one engine and setting the filters and doing things, so you got to watch that. What you want to do is, once you get the engines and you're searching going, you want to make a list of the websites and the positions of the field that you work in. Maybe even go to the company. Now the companies are starting to set up job notifications. If you sign on to like Honeywell or Lockheed Martin, you can put in their engine these criteria, and every time Lockheed posts a job, it'll send it to you. Keep a list of your important information about these websites, username and passwords. Every website that you sign on is going to require a username and a password. And you're going to have hundreds of not hundreds, you're going to have 20, 30 passwords by the time you're done. Keep a list of the jobs you've applied for. Within 24 hours after sending your application, follow up if you can. If they have, some of the websites even give you a phone number. Definitely call in. Here's an example. Hi, this is Joe Schmidt, and I sent in my application materials on Tuesday for the position of, listed on the website. I'm really excited about this position because I have experience in this field and working knowledge of. Would you please check that my application has been received and get back to me? Or can you please check it and see if you've got it okay? Many job sites request certain types of job openings, but allow you to be emailed to you on a regular basis. This is a great way to have jobs come into your inbox every morning. Save every resume you submit with the company's name and date in the title. Remember, every job application you put in, I'm saying that you have to have a unique resume tailored for that. Make sure you keep these in a file handy for interviews, and also print out a hard copy in case they call you and you can respond, oh, this is what I said to them. Nothing more embarrassing, and I've had people do this when I call them on a phone interview and they go, let me see, Lockheed, okay, yeah, I think I said that on that resume and that on that resume, and yeah, I know what I said now, yeah, I remember. And it's like, whoa, okay, write this person off. I'm reading a question. The question is, should I tailor my resume? And yes, in the resume section, I have a summary up front where I put my 30-second commercial. I'll talk about that. And have I ever experienced unemployment? Yes. I've been laid off twice. So one time in Honeywell, after being a frontline supervisor and had a department of about 20 engineers, they came in and told me, don't take this personally, John, but we're laying you off. We're getting out of this business. It's not profitable. And the second time was with Lockheed Martin last November. Our building in Minnesota was the one that made national news. They laid off, they closed the building and laid off 1,000 people. And using these techniques, I had 6 interviews, 2 job offers, and I accepted one on 3 months or less with Rockwell, who I'm actually with now, but I've only been here for about 3 weeks. So, answer your question. These are not theory-based answers. This is all hard-learned experience. Okay, so what I said on the previous one is when you get out there and you're having all these leads, you might apply for 20 or 30 different positions, and that's too many contacts to remember. So what I recommend doing is you get a notebook, 1 page per contact. On that you put all the vital information, name, company, contact, websites, notes, referred by, referrals to others if you have, next action and date you want out of that. When you're tracking between 15 and 20 resumes out there, you definitely should keep track of them. You won't be able to keep straight if you don't. And then key topics that you want to consider, maybe some keywords from the job ad when they call you. If you have a copy of the job ad and a resume you've submitted, is excellent when they call you for a telephone interview. I don't talk about telephone interviews. I don't have enough time, but in the workshop I do. Okay, general formats of resumes. What I have here is at the top, contact information, how they contact you. And this point here is the highest value real estate or highest part of the resume. This is your key capability summarized, custom to the job, and desired skills. In other words, you put up front what we call an executive summary of everything, the key points down here related to their job ads. And when I get people to do this, they tell me they get 1 interview for every 2 resumes they send out on the average. So this is a 30-second commercial. Now what I'd like you to do is think of this as you've all watched TV and a 30-second commercial flips up for a movie. And you're watching this commercial and they show all the best scenes of the movie. So you get all excited and you want to go to it. And after watching a 30-second commercial, you go, yeah, I want to see that movie this weekend, or let's go see that one tonight, or in a couple days. So that's what this high importance area is all about. You want them to read that when they're reviewing your resume and say, I want this person in here for an interview. This is great. I want to see him in person. Just like you want to go to the movie theater. And that's what that's all about. But you got to tailor it to exactly the job ad. And I'll show you that in a few minutes. Then there's the main body. This is of lesser importance, and it's chronological or skills format. I'll talk about that in a minute. This is where you highlight your major accomplishments. What is the benefit of your skills or accomplishments to the company that you work for? And then customize to the job and job ad and the desired skills. Finally, lower importance areas down at the bottom, reserved for awards, papers, and things like that. Be careful with the technical jargon and abbreviations. It's very tough. You're so used to your technical jargons and acronyms that it just comes out. And I've read resumes where, you know, they worked on the JSF program on the ICP, doing the GPIO board for rad hard stuff, and the resume went on, and finally I said, I don't understand what this person did. There are so much acronyms. So what you have to do is make sure that you spell out your acronyms and make sure that the technical jargon is in common format with the company. Now let's take a look at these 2 resumes here, chronological skills, and I'll blow those up. In the chronological format, you still have your contact information, you still have your 30-second commercial with all the goodies wrapped up, and then you list your job experiences, starting with the most recent, running to your first or earliest. You emphasize increasing growth along this line. You should be showing that either you're handling more significant problems, leading larger teams, or having more responsibility as you move up. That your knowledge base is growing. And then you have your lower importance areas. This is the best format if people you are interviewing with know your company and your projects. So you're going to talk about your projects you worked under at each of these different companies. If they know your company and they know something of the product, they're excellent. In other words, this is a good one for up and down the product chain. Another one is the skills format. Skills format is when you're transferring your skills from one domain of companies that you work with to another one that are totally unrelated. For instance, moving from the defense industry to telecommunications industry. You might be a far stretch. So rather than telling them about all the defense projects you worked on, you talk about the skills that are relevant. And naturally, you start out with the most important skill. And again here, contact information, your 30-second commercial where they get all excited and want to read the rest of the resume, and get you in for an interview and meet you in person, and then your skills listed. This is the best format with those whom you are not familiar with, who are not familiar with your prior company or projects. Make sure you stay away from jargon of your old company and acronyms if you do. The question that came up was, would you want your awards at the top? Yes, in your summary skill, but you got to summarize your awards. You can't list them. I won the Alpha Award in 2001 for engineer of something. You know, you got to explain it a little bit better on that. So, and then later in the body or page 2, I think that you definitely want to list your, if you have real estate or room, list your awards. What I've done in some of my resume is award-winning engineer from both my company and the customer. And I refine the statement a little bit, but I explain to them that I've won awards. Good question. Okay, in the resume, you need to power pack both these and these. These being your key capabilities. That's a summary of all the high points, and then in your job description, you've got to power pack them. So what I want to show you here is an example of power packing. How you power pack is quantify, relate, and sell yourself. Okay, I've seen on resumes, lead engineer on the XYZ project working on digital electronics for our products. I wish I had a nickel for all the times I've seen that on resumes. And consider that this person doesn't stand out to me. Now, let's power pack it. Power packing. Lead engineer on the successful XYZ program, overseeing, directing the efforts of a 40-person team, quantifying, including mechanical, electrical, and software engineers, relating yourself. Reported directly to the Vice President Engineering and led customer interface, relating. Produced state-of-the-art digital controller in 6 months, 1 month ahead of schedule and 20% under cost. Relating, quantifying yourself. Project resulted in the highest company award. Now, who would you hire? Who would you want to say, I want to meet face-to-face? A lead engineer that works on digital electronics, or someone that knows how to control a team, manage a team, get results, and is award-winning? That's how you power pack your statements. So someone says like a hamburger, summary at the top, big meat in the middle, and specific patent awards list at the bottom. Yes. I would make sure that your summary, though, is really your best points. I write my summaries after I write all my experience. Okay, let's look at this one. This is a skills format. Digital designer for FPGA and ASIC devices. Again, I've seen that on almost every resume I look at. Here's how you power pack it. You tell them your position. Lead engineer for digital design of state-of-the-art 4 million gate array, Actel field programmable. I spelled out the acronym. The design was completed in 4 months and successfully tested in 2 months. Give them a feeling that I accomplished significant in a short time. FPGA design ported to application-specific integrated circuit, ASIC, presently in production at 10 million units. Now I'm over-exaggerating, but what I got to get you to do is think in your terms of what can you quantify, relate, and sell yourself. Design has built-in testability and error correction capabilities. Customer presented highest award to team. So quantify, relate, and sell yourself. And I've worked with engineers that gave me this to start with. I helped them rewrite their resumes. Gave me that afterwards, and they said, John, thank you, the phone was ringing off the hook. So generic isn't going to work anymore. Quantify, relate, and sell yourself. Okay, creating your resume. I'm going to show you how to do resumes in an hour or less, so you're not spending hours upon hours. What you want to do is print out the specific job ad. Okay, someone says if you put in all that, do you blow the length? Do you blow out or increase the length of your resume? Yes, you do, but you have the choice of getting rid of some of the material that's of lesser importance, like hobbies, a few other things like that. You have to watch it. I'm going to talk about the length of resumes in a minute. Different length of resumes for different types of people. Okay. So you want to print out a copy of your ad, and you want to insert the keywords into your resume down here. Here's your resume. Okay. Literally, this is how you want to set up your desk. Next, you want to go to the company website. You want to look at their products and the jargon they use. Okay. You determine the key products and engineering skills need. Make sure you emphasize the skills that you think they're going to need for your product and the technology they brag about. And then you go to your bank of your resumes. You have a bank. I have at least 25 different resumes in my bank, stressing different emphasis for different companies and different backgrounds or different jobs I've done. So you look at these two, the ad, you look at the company website, and you go, okay, that's part of resume 1, and that's part of resume 4 I need, and you cut and paste all the best parts in your resume. And you put it in. Now comes a problem. Now I don't know how to format it. That's simple. 30 seconds or less. You go online, you type in the words engineering resume format or template. 2 seconds later, you've got about 45 websites that claim they got the best template. And they even give you downloaded ones, and you can look through them free. The next thing is you look at your resume writing book, what other people might help with in the technical area, or how to express or get by gaps in your resume and that type of stuff. The best place to go to these resume books is online. They'll give you, if you have a problem, you have a gap in employment, or you're older, or you're younger, or you lack experience, go online, or go to the bookstores. Right now, the biggest section in the bookstores is resume writing and interviewing. If you go there, there must be B. Dalton last time I went, between 100 and 200 books on the shelf. You can just pick them up and look at them. Great ways to power pack resumes in there. So you end up rewriting your resume, customize it to the ad, you emphasize your skills, emphasize your experience. That's applicable. You use the technology from the job description. Okay. Your resume should read like it was written for the ad. You want that hiring manager to go, wow, this person has just about everything I need. He's covered them all. And sending a generic resume will not get results. I can tell you that. Just from my side in hiring in the last 2 years, and the people I talked with that are out on the road, that are out interviewing. So someone says, with all the analysis going on, the question was, be able to apply for more than 2 jobs in a week. When I did my job search and I set this up the first time through it, I got about 1 resume out in 2 days. After about 3 weeks of searching, I was down to about an hour and a half per resume sent in. So, Mike, you're absolutely you're absolutely right that the first time you do this, it's like a learning curve. And the first time you get through it, it takes a long time. But after about the 8th or 10th resume, you're zooming. Good question. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this, but here's an ad that I found on the website. Senior electrical engineer, as part of electrical engineering team, interacts closely with project management team to design and produce documents for a larger, over 100 megawatt electrical construction project. Okay. Take a look at this, and what do you guys think are the key words here that you want to add in your resume or touch? Now, the reason I'm going to tell you this as you're looking at it is that there are software people that go out to sell companies keyword match programs. In other words, they take your resume, put it in an optical character reader, strip off all the formatting, put it into a resume format so they're all the same, and they have a high school student run this, and then they say, stack the resumes up, here's 100 of them, with the one with the most hits to these keywords, and the ones with the least hits put on the bottom. And then they usually take the top 10 or 15 in the stack and give them to the manager and say, here's the ones with the most hits. I found that very depressing to know that high school and graduates were determining whether I made it into the filter or not, and interns in HR determining whether I made it to the hiring manager or not. So I had one engineer even tell me that he couldn't get a job, couldn't get someone to interview him. He was went back to school, got a software degree, and all the jobs he was looking for were looking for C+. And he realized that the filters, he didn't have the word C+ on there a lot. So he put on his resume several places, not proficient in C++, not proficient in C++. And he got 2 interviews immediately, and he said he got hired. He asked the hiring manager, he shared with me, he says, why'd you hire me? I put not proficient in C++. And he said, oh, we weren't really looking for a programmer. We were looking for more a senior person that had a big background but knew something about C++, and you had all the extras in. So it was not a deficit that you didn't have a lot of experience in C++. So moral of the story is he got through the filters by admitting on the resume not a lot of experience with C++ several times, and the filters kicked him in. Okay, what I'm going to do now, as you've been looking at that, circle what I think are the key words. And there's a lot of them. Senior. Okay, senior. Interacts closely with project management, 100 megawatts, construction projects, design and produce, bachelor's degree, electrical engineering, power systems major, MSEE preferred, 10 years, 3-phase AC, field experience, PE license, hands-on experience. Work independent in a team or environment, proficiently in Microsoft AutoCAD, excellent organization skills, ability to organize and manage, medium to high voltage. And you can read it on down, and when you do a word search, you know, hands-on's mentioned twice, AutoCAD twice, construction work experience 4 times. So they may put up and enter in keywords. You never know what their keywords are, but they may set their filters that they need a minimum of 200 hits. So the next time you write your resume to a job ad, think about how many times are you going to get hits. So that's really important. Okay, common resume questions. How long should it be? If you're 1 to 5 years, probably 1 page. 5 to 20 years, 2 pages. Over 20 years, maybe 3 pages. Nobody ever reads the 3rd page. And then if you're in academia, it's definitely a 3-pager or more. Does formatting matter? Yes, no, and maybe. Formatting, sometimes when they don't go through the formatters and strip what turns it into common text, then formatting gets to the hiring manager, it matters. If they strip them all and reformat them all into a standard format so the hiring manager sees all the information exactly the same displayed, then it doesn't matter. Should I use special fonts? What size font's best? I would stay with 12 is probably the best. Nothing smaller than 10, very little 10 if you have to. And different fonts say different things. Times Roman say you're traditional. Arial say you're kind of modern. You can do all that stuff, but generally when you load them in on the websites, they change it to one standard font. How do I deal with mature, young age? Maturity, how I dealt with it. I'm 37 years in industry. When I was laid off, I didn't put down the start and stop dates on my resume, but I put down the number of years, and I didn't put the first few years down, which was over 37 years ago, which was irrelevant anyway. If I'm young, I write a lot. I have a lot of words describing what I do with each assignment when I was younger. And again, you don't have to put the dates, let them ask for it. Should I list my hobbies? That's kind of wasted space. Should I include a picture? I've probably, out of 500 resumes or 1,000 resumes I looked in my lifetime, I've probably only seen one picture. So right now it's pretty tough, and the networks don't, the computer networks companies don't allow it. Does posting my resume online get results? Most everybody I talked said unanimously that did that, Monster.com and everything. Absolutely not. They never got a call. The other problem is, remember, these HR people are fresh out of school, and the first thing they do when they Google you is, or first thing they do is get your resume, and you pass the filters. The managers usually say, give me any Google information you get on them, and they go out and Google things. And so if you got old resumes from a long time ago laying out on boards or not updated or not generic, it's kind of a step against you. Should I employ a resume writer? Only if English, writing English is not your primary language. It's a secondary language for you, and if you feel uncomfortable. Other than that, I think that with a little coaching and help, you should be able to rate yourself. How do I deal with gaps in employment? You got to be honest. You can put it on your resume, but just leave a gap there and let them figure out if there's a gap. And then when it comes time, you need to have a good reason. Might be military service, maternity leave, did a sabbatical, that type of stuff. But you got to have a good reason. So I have a separate professional email address. Absolutely. I actually had resumes come in my desk, and you look at their, they don't want to give you a company they're working with, they're still employed. So it was, one of them was Biker Bob was his email address, and it's funny seeing this professional and his email address is Biker Bob. Kind of destroyed my image of him. And then another one was Mustang Sally, and one of them was, I even seen was a student had, I was reading his resume, Demon 4 or something like that, and I was like, whoa, you got to change your email address. It should be your professional, like first name dot your last name or something. Okay, we're running out of time, so what I'm going to do is speed it up here a little bit. Okay, I'm on number 20. Somebody wrote in, I found the following skill differentiations useful. Working knowledge of, proficient in, expert in. Yes, that's very good. Thank you. Excellent suggestion. This one's for writing cover letters. They rarely have cover letters nowadays. Generally, search firms like cover letters because they can read what you're interested in looking for in that, and then they know how to search the job ads. But most companies, as hiring manager, we never rarely looked at the cover letters. You loaded it into our system, Lockheed and Rockwell Collins, and you know, we just basically breezed the cover letter but went the goodies, the resume. Okay, this is your contact information, the person who's hiring it, who you're writing it to, clarify the position you're applying for. Okay, summary of key capabilities, 3 major reasons why they want to hire you, customized to their ad, and refer to, you know, attached resume and contact information. You look forward for hearing them. Cover letter is cause for the employer to contact, get their attention, get their interest, create desire, and then finally action to get you in. This is another short 30-minute-and-a-half commercial. I have an example here, and I'll put it up a minute and go through it. It's kind of small, I apologize, but John Smith's applying for a job with Miss Mary Jones. I'm interested in the position of senior manager, number some. Your company has positioned on its website. My skills match your needs, and in some instances offer more than requirements of the position. Selling yourself. Oh, they offer more. Okay, great. You summarize here. Presently a manager with 25 years experience in design and development of field programmable gate array devices. And then here's what I have to offer. Highly successful, demonstrated outstanding customer skills, responsible for state-of-the-art designs, 3 million, using advanced tools, cost and schedule. I'd appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, contacting you, and attach my resume. If you have any questions, best way to contact me is my cell phone. So let's summarize. John Smith. He's got advanced degrees, 25 years experience, manages a large group, produces very profitable products, exceeds expectations. I'm on page 21. Customers select him as a supplier of the year and utilizes the latest technology to keep costs down and deliver products on time. Boy, that's the kind of person I want to hire. That's what you want to get them to say. I want to interview this person. I'm going to slide 22. One of the tips that I want to talk about is creating a portfolio, and the reason why is a lot of engineers believe that they don't need a portfolio. They're just going to go in and say some magic words, and they don't realize that the other 27 interviewers are doing the same. So one of the things that differentiates you is a portfolio. And in the times that I've interviewed, the feedback I've gotten from vice presidents and directors of engineering is, John, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're the most well-prepared, best presentation of yourself and your skills that I've ever had. So what I did was create a portfolio that I carry along with me, and I talk to the pictures in it. Like they say, one picture is worth 1,000 words. In it, I included my resume, team photos, any publicly releasable technical data or photos of projects. Good source of that is your company's website. Go to your company, and if you're working on product XYZ and it's on their website, sales, marketing, it's open to the public, put a picture, great to talk about. Copy of title pages, papers, and patents I put in there. Degrees and certificates, any customer awards or feedback letters you got. Publicly releasable performance appraisals. I went to my supervisor when we were getting laid off at Lockheed, and shutting the building down, says, I'm going to put in my resume this statement that you gave me on my glowing report on my last employee appraisal. Would you mind if I put it? And they said no. Any letters of recommendation. Then towards the end, you want to have that hobbies and volunteer work, and HRs love that. And during the interviewing stage, I talk about how to power pack with HR. And then any publicly releasable website pages. You know, you want to put it in a high quality, clear products, hardbound binder, 8.5 by 11. You want to make sure there's everything in there, and it's all put in there so that if you drop it, it doesn't fly out all over, because you're pretty nervous. one of the techniques I teach in a workshop is how to interview to an upside-down resume in a portfolio. A lot of people get suddenly thrown for a loop when the employer says, well, let me see your resume, and takes it out of your hand, turns it around, and you got to point to it upside down. That's a good way to practice, a tip there. Okay, I'm going to slide 23. In summary, job searching. You start with knowing your skills and priorities. Okay? Your job is to get a job. And that means working at it full time. That means working at it earnestly. That does not mean mowing the lawn, doing the garage project, re-roofing the roof, and all that type of stuff. Your job is get a job, starts at 8 in the morning and ends at 4:30 at night. You check in. If you can't send resume or you're not surfing, you're on the phone networking. You got to be online searching. Searching to people you can network with. And IEEE is the best place for its members. Go to the meetings. Meet everybody. Ask them what they do. Tell them what you're doing. You're out of job. I can't believe the number of people that have come to me at meetings, and I'm giving them leads. Just to give you, I ran software engineers in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I pulled up a list of 40, and I ran Rockwell Collins in their job site, and 216 jobs came up. So there's jobs out there, but you got to network to get in, and job searching is all about face-to-face is the best. Meet them, greet them. Don't sit at your IEEE meeting in the corner, shake hands with everybody, tell them you're unemployed if you're unemployed, or tell them if you're searching, do they know of anything. Take along your contact notebook, make notes, and if you find someone that, you had a job that you didn't want to really apply for and they sound like a great candidate, share it. That's how you get networking. Every time you give a job lead to somebody else, I've got 2 back. So the fastest way to network is just go in, talk to people at IEEE, and if you can, in your job search, keep track of it, the website where the job is located, give those jobs out. Pretty soon your inbox is going to be filled with people sending them back. Finally, resumes. I'm on 23, resumes, skills versus chronological. We talked about that. Skills is for resumes where you're transferring industry. Chronological is there. Remember, you want your skills or your qualification summary up at top. That's all the biggest and highest points. Tailor your resume to the job ad, very specific. You should be getting between 200 and 300 hits between the job ad and your resume. Quantify, relate in yourself. So you did digital design. What does that mean? How big? How many? Who did you relate to? What was the benefit to the company? And then finally, cover letters and portfolios. Power pack them. Portfolios, one picture is worth 1,000 words. During my interviews, I showed pictures of our team and a product in a montage, and the interviewer said, very impressive, very impressive. And I know it's time to go on. It gives you a tip that he's impressed. He's, okay, move on. Don't waste your time rehashing it, and you can power pack your interviewing that way. So there's a lot of things out there that you can do. If you're interested, IEEE, my next 8-hour workshop is by the North Shore section. It's Friday, October 14th. I'm on slide 24, and you can contact us, or you can contact the North Shore directly up there and register for it. Starts at 7:30 in the morning and we go to 4:30 at night. And last time they kept me to about 7 o'clock because they wanted answers, and it's a workshop. You do a lot of work. You do practice writing your resume, practice powering, interviewing, and networking. So it's wonderful. I guess that kind of ends the presentation. I'm on slide number 25. We'd appreciate your feedback. Send me an email to the information below if you liked it, if you hated it, what you hated about it. You got any questions? I'm opening the line at this time.
attendees have been unmuted.
Does anybody have any questions out there or length of resume? Where to find the jobs?
Hello?
Yes?
Question I had on there on the chat was, what about using Wordle to do your resume like analysis? Have you used that tool at all?
I've never used it. I've heard of it. Do you want to share with us what it means so that people understand?
Well, look, I myself have not used it. I too have heard about it. I was just kind of wondering what you have to say about it. It basically, from what I understand, you take a job ad, you take your resume, and you basically paste the text resume, look into the form on the website, submit it, and then it kind of tells you what things you need to, I guess, fix in your resume in order to match the job ad.
Okay.
It kind of does the hits. It kind of, I guess the tool tells you how many hits you have on your resume, and then you can use it as a tool to tweak your resume to better match the job, right?
Yeah. Yes. Let me share what's on my side of the fence with you. If you're done. Are you done?
Yeah.
On my side of the fence is that I work with HR, and about a year ago they came back from a conference, software conference, where there was 24 vendors selling resume software, resume search words, two types of software programs for companies like Lockheed. One that would search the web for resumes and mine out the resumes with keywords, and then the other one was software that would go against keywords entered in a job application versus resumes. So there's like 24 vendors out there selling these programs to Lockheed and their HR system. So yes, I personally haven't. I've heard of Wordle, but I haven't seen it operated or do anything with it. So if you can get a copy of it, it'd be great. Somebody asked if they can send questions to info@careerdevelopmentcoaches.com later on, and the answer is yes. I'll answer them. No problem.
Okay, we're going to end the webinar here. Thank the participants, and on behalf of IEEE USA, John, thank you very much.
Oh, Helen, you're wonderful. Maybe the audience would send in some comments that they'd like to hear how to power pack an interview. I'd do that next time if you're interested.
Great.
That sounds fantastic. That's great.
We missed a big component, interview.
info@careerdevelopmentcoaches.com?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody, and good luck. And if you have a question, email me at info right there, and I'm glad to do some coaching and helping.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Mm.
Thanks, Helen. Anything we need to follow up on, Helen?